Well, firstly, I'm here in Paris for the Paralympics, which is a fantastic opening ceremony yesterday. Obviously, I had a bilateral with the President whilst I'm here to discuss a number of issues. Obviously, there are foreign policy issues which are pressing, so we discussed the situation in Ukraine, as you would expect, situation in the Middle East, bilateral issues in terms of trade and defence and security, but also the wider reset that I want in relation to our relations, not just with France, but with the EU in general. So they were the topics that we discussed as part of the reset rebuild, and making sure that our number one mission, which is growing the economy, is absolutely central to everything that we do.
Back at home, it's being reported that you're looking at tighter restrictions on smoking outdoors, pub gardens, outdoor restaurants, outside hospitals and so on. Is that something that you are considering?
My starting point on this is to remind everyone that over 80,000 people lose their lives every year because of smoking. That's a preventable death. It's a huge burden on the NHS, and of course it's a burden on the taxpayer. So yes, we are going to take decisions in this space. More details will be revealed, but this is a preventable series of deaths, and we've got to take the action to reduce the burden on the NHS and reduce the burden on the taxpayer.
You said when you became Prime Minister you wanted politics to tread more lightly on people's lives. This is the opposite, isn't it?
I think it's important to get the balance right, but everybody watching this who uses the NHS will know that it's on its knees. We have to relieve the burden, and that's why I spoke before the election about moving to a preventative model when it comes to health. I want the NHS back on its feet, but I also want it fit for the next, 75 years, just as we've had a brilliant 75 years already. And that means taking action in relation to preventable deaths, and these are 80,000 a year preventable deaths.
And just finally, you're at the end of a trip to France and Germany, both countries where the far right has strengthened in recent years. How worried are you about the far right at home and abroad?
I am worried about the far right. I'm worried about populism and nationalism and the politics of the easy answer, the snake oil, if you like. And I think it's very important that we have a debate about how we confront that. My own personal view is that through delivery, through showing that there are progressive democratic answers to the many challenges we face is the way forward. But yes, that's a discussion that I'm very keen to have because I think it's a very real threat.